swarm of bees once followed a car for 2 days because their queen was stuck inside of it. True story. First question. How to find the right rate I can ask for so I don't scare potential clients off. If I own a lot of equipment, should I add the equivalent of rental costs as well? People these days want everything filmed for free. It depends on where you're at and your skill level, and only you are going to be able to judge that completely. And it is difficult to be objective about your own work, but you have to be able to detach yourself and look at your work, compare it to others, and just be honest with yourself about where you're at and what level you're at. And if that's at a very high level, you should be charging a little bit more because you're worth that experience point. If you're just starting out, maybe you do some stuff for free. When I first started out, I did a lot of stuff for free. Then as I started charging people, it was a lot about, is this something worth me doing? Is it something I want to do? It's for my reel. I get to try something. I'm going to learn from this, or is this just a paycheck? And I would charge those at different rates. Of course, I would do one for whatever the budget was that the client had, and the other I would only do for what felt worth it for me to put that amount of time toward, which I quantified in different ways. It just depended. I would definitely also add your gear's wear and tear into the mix. I never charge full-on rental values for my gear because I'm still the one using them, but I do charge for their use because you are using it for their project. So you throw that into the mix as well. I think something that will really help you is just do a little research. Look for other companies or freelancers that do work of the quality that you do, and then find out what they price, and that'll give you a really good gauge of at least where to start. Do you ever listen to a song and think of making a scene specifically for that song? All the time. That's something that's really great about music, is it can so definitively shove images into your head. It can be very, very useful. That's why I always create a playlist for whatever I'm writing, and I'll just let that stuff play. Things that inspire me to the tone that I'm trying to create, and that's always playing. It really does help you set the tone and the mood to be able to be creative toward that direction even. When the budget provided by the client isn't enough to produce your vision for a video, do you compromise on quality, or do you push for excellence even if it means investing money from your own pocket to ensure that you've got something great to add to your portfolio? That just depends if you're excited about the project or not. If this is just a project for a paycheck, then absolutely not. If this is your job, you need to be making money, and not always is the dollar amount going to translate into final quality. It more often than not, it doesn't. I'm very used to operating on very little to no budget and making that work. So it might take a little longer. It might be a little bit harder, but you can get great quality for very little amounts of money. If this is just client work that you're doing because it's your job, I would never put my own money into it. However, with people that do sponsor our show and we've done stuff with, I put my own money into it. Like when we did the Bears and Tanks thing with Music Bed, I didn't make any money at all. I put my own money into it because I was just excited about it and I wanted to do it, and it was something fun and creative to do and to partner with them. So although they did give us a little money to produce it, we put even more money into it of our own to do exactly what it was that we were wanting to do. And that happens all the time. When we did the 5 action shorts with DJI, they did give us money to help us produce it, but we put a bunch of our own money into it. We didn't make any money off of that. So with stuff like that, I have done that a bunch. But if it was something that was just a paycheck, I would, of course, never do that. Are there any questions that don't have depends as the answer? That is a fair question, because I do say that depends a whole lot, but that's just because it really does. There is almost never a definitive answer on anything in my experience. Plus, these are all personal opinions, and it's really hard not to be subjective about pretty much everything. So for me to be definitive in my answer, I think would be disingenuous, dishonest, and probably a little bit arrogant. So I like to make sure to keep in room there for, movement. I mean, it's how I think, it's the way that I see it, but that doesn't even mean it's the right way. It's how I see it right now, but that might change. The ways that I even thought at the beginning of the show is not the same way that I think now, but that's the beauty of this show. And even these question and answers is to grow together, to see that growth over time. No one ever stays still, stays the same, or stays thinking the same thing forever. So it really does depend. And I mean, even what I would, like I said before, even what I would charge on a project completely depends. There's no one answer to that. The industry that we are in, there are so many variables that you can't just say, yeah, it'll cost $1,000 to make that video. Of course you can't say that. You don't know what kind of locations you need. You don't know how many people you need, how many people you're going to need to feed. Does it have VFX? Does it not? What kind of music is it going to need? Can we just get licensed music? Do we have to get a custom composer for this sort of thing? There's a lot that goes into almost every aspect to this industry. Is it better to make a pretty good first short film or take more time to plan and fund one that might be better down the road? If it's your first short film, if it's pretty good, then hats off to you. That's incredible. More than likely, your first short film 5 years from now, you're going to be embarrassed of. I know that's certainly true for me and for like, I don't know, 20 short films that I made. I have so many short films that'll never see the light of day just because as you're learning in the beginning, you have no idea what you're doing, but that's why you start doing it and doing it as much as possible. Like I'm always saying, because the more that you do, the more that you learn, the more experience you have, the more light switches you're turning on. When you first start, it's like I've said before, you're walking into this pitch black room, but after your first one, you know, that's like you're turning on that first light switch and then one after the other until eventually you can see every corner of this room and you don't know when that happened, when you flipped on all these switches. That's the beauty of experience. But that being said, I put every ounce of me into every short film I've ever done, even the ones in the beginning that were absolutely horrible. I gave it my all, 110% every single time without fail, extremely passionate about it and stressed that it's not going to be as good as I want it to be, knowing that in the end, it probably isn't going to be as good as I want it to be. But that's how you continue to get better. As my friend Dan Trachtenberg says, perfect practice makes perfect, meaning put everything you possibly can into this thing, then move on to the next one. Do you think that photography is important for filmmaking? Have you ever considered doing photography? I absolutely do. You're telling a story in one frame. In film school, we had a photography class where I shot on film, and I've done photography ever since. It's nothing that I really post online, but I do it constantly. There's at least a few shots per week that I've done and completely finished with even a final grade. Just because I think focusing in on that one moment, finding that one moment, and how it can relay a story is really, really useful. You're distilling it down to this very simplistic thing, which can, I think, be very eye-opening to how you use your camera to tell a story to your audience in 24 frames per second. Good talk, fam. How about a little fun with Adobe Stock? As always, we'll jump into Adobe Stock, which has images and videos, anything that you need stock-wise. It's just an insane amount of stuff in here. So plenty of fun to be had, but we'll search through video, try to find something we can easily put into our scene like, yeah, that ought to do it. That seems good to me. So now we'll take this, add it into our scene, and we have...
Work your back, mommy, work your back. Work your back, mommy, work your back. Mueve tu cintura, mama, work your back. Shake your naga loca and rewind it back. Drop it low, pop it up. Drop it low, pop it up. Shake that culo, mami, pero drop it low. Shake that culo, mami, pero pop it up. Así, me gusta a mí. Así, me gusta a mí.
Logo.
So that's it for today, which means it's time for my suggestion of the week, and that is Airtable. Airtable is some software that you can get for free that you can use in a litany of ways. There's so many different things that you can do with this, but one thing that I've been using it for a lot recently is organizing and structuring our Film Riot episodes as we gear up to do some of the things that we're trying to do going forward and broadening our team out. I was really looking for a way to organize everything, get everybody on the same page and find structure. And I tried a bunch of different stuff, but it seems like Airtable so far is definitely the solution for me. No, they didn't sponsor the show. I have nothing to do with Airtable. I've never communicated with anybody over there, but I've really been digging this. Seth Worley and the guys over at MakerTable have been preaching this software to me for quite a while, but now I'm finally using it and it's kind of amazing. So definitely check that out, watch the videos, see if something that would work for you and your productions. And until next time, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.